So I've been wanting to write a dubstep piece for quite a while, and I met up with Rachel a little while ago, Gamelan lady, and we thought, why don't we put some dubstep and gamelan together? So I wrote this piece for live electronics, providing the dubstep and a bit of drum and bass, gamelan, viola and cello and a bit of double bass and some singers. So how I've done it, it's quite an unusual way for me, because usually I'll go away and write a score, then we would rehearse it. But because it's such an unusual project, I wanted to write little snippets and sketches and then bring that to the residency, and as a group we kind of fit and knit those sketches together and then decide on the form of the piece throughout the residency. So we're hoping to do this again next year at some point if we can get some funding, and by that time next year we'll probably condense this material down into an actual dubstep single. But this is just like an exploratory residency with the material and see what we can do with the forces that we have.
So what we have here is a Sundanese gamelan gong. Sunda is the west of Java, which is where these instruments are from. And what we've been doing this morning is learning some traditional music from West Java, and what we're doing now is experimenting with the instruments and fusing the traditional style with some dubstep, some classical music and some contemporary voice. So it's a bit of an experiment really. We were saying earlier, it's like cooking a new dish, and we're kind of throwing lots of ingredients and seeing what we come up with. So the type of instruments that we're using, behind me, you can probably see the two large gongs. We've got the big gong and our kumpul gong, and they're really at the heart of the gamelan. Every gamelan piece starts with the gong, and then you have a cycle, a pattern, and it will end with the gong. We've also got different types of mini-tuned gongs. These are called bonang, and each pot is tuned to a different pitch. So we have our bonang. We have some large pots here. This is the jenglong, again, all tuned gongs. And then what you can't see, we've got different types of bronze metallophone, drums and bamboo flutes, and that's the sort of basic of the Gamelan Gong ensemble. Well, I am conducting research looking at gamelan and its impact on well-being and its use in different education contexts. Because obviously gamelan has its traditional uses in Indonesia. When I was doing my research, it's used a lot in wedding ceremonies and celebrations, and there it's really about the collective well-being of an entire community. You will always have gamelan. You'll never have a performance where you just sit down and watch gamelan. There'll always be food, there'll be drink, and it's about bringing people together and celebration. Now, in the UK, and since the sort of 1980s, there's been an increasing number of gamelan imported to the UK. And now you'll find gamelan being used in projects in prisons, lots of work in schools, for people with learning disabilities. There's lots of different work going on. So I'm doing research looking at all the different uses and benefits of gamelan, but also looking at what it's like to play gamelan for Western musicians. So I've been collecting feedback from everybody involved this morning about their initial experiences playing the gamelan, and what it's like to become part of the gamelan group. So that's another side of the project.
Hypes, also known as Manchester Hypes or Hypes the Wise Guy. That's a few aliases because of different reasons. Been doing my thing in Manchester for nearly 10 years, but you know, as a kid it was just a hobby, a joke, just something to do. Didn't really ever see didn't see any potential in going anywhere really at the start. It was just, oh, let me try this. But I always had a feeling, interest, and loved music from a kid, and kind of was a performer, but I didn't realise that myself until my mum, told me back. If you look back, you was a performer from very young. There's loads of videos of me doing MC Hammer and whoever, or Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? So I've always been interested in music, but
what kind of music is it that you do?
Well, I specialise in grime music, but I've got the ability to really do any tempo. If I like the beat, I can express lyrics over it, because there's so many different ways to get your message out. Doing a workshop, kind of mixing the styles with classical, so it's and it's not really even the actual tune I'm doing is not grime tempo, so it proves I can do any style of music or any tempo if I just get with it.
And how are you finding it?
Yeah, I'm really liking it, because to be honest, it is out of my comfort zone, but I do like a challenge. I'm that sort of person. I work under pressure a lot of the time, so I feel like I've executed it and pulled it off.
Dreams and aspirations. Dreams and aspirations. How do you design?
Well, I'm Frances Lynch, and I'm the director of the Electric Voice Theatre, and we're a company of singers. There's about 12 or 13 of us, we're never entirely sure, and we work with electronics and staging, so we have designers and lighting designers, stage designers, and so on that we work with, and we do projects pretty much all over the world, creating new stuff with technology. Because the interesting thing for me is that working with the gamelan, which I've done before, I've never been allowed to play it, so that's very nice. So we enjoyed that. Having the opportunity just to kind of think about people all playing together and not having to worry too much about what they are playing is quite an interesting one, because that's the reverse of what we normally do. We have to make sure everybody's doing exactly the right thing and playing together, so that getting it right comes first and getting it together comes second, whereas the gamelan, getting it together comes first and getting it right comes second. So it's quite an interesting reversal, a different way of listening, which is nice. We listened to some of the singers who had sung the original tune and just kind of worked out some things about what they were doing vocally. And then we simply had to learn it, obviously, which we did. Actually, what we did was we created our own little patterns on the floor of where we were doing certain things. Like we'd decide that we were going to add different types of ornamentation and so on at different places in the room. So we kind of workshopped it, really. So we kind of took the tune apart and workshopped it and did lots of stuff and thought about style and things like that. So we kind of dissected it, really.
My name is David. I'm from Copenhagen, and but I came to Manchester to study cello about 25 years ago.
My name's Chris, and I'm also from the Halle. I've been there for 13 years. And
this is different from other. I mean, I think the Halle Education Department, they are very diverse. They do many things. I'm involved in a care home for dementia. People will go every second week, and that's different. I think the sort of traditional education project is going into a school class and composing a piece over maybe 4 visits and then perform that, a bit like what we do in the Halle. Just performing. And when Chris asked me to come, I just didn't know what to expect. But I knew it was gamelan. It was a really interesting mix of singers and composer and an MC and especially the chance for me to bring my bass has just been. I was just really looking forward to it. It's been fantastic. It's so different from our day job, this, obviously.
And how have you been finding the actual gamelan playing?
Yeah, really good fun. Very, very meditative. A little bit difficult to work out where the beat is. That's the tricky bit.
It is,
because we're so used to playing what's on a score and having a first beat and a fourth beat, or if it's kind of complex, which this is.
Yeah.
To have it notated, so you've got something and you've got a conductor there kind of beating it out,
yeah.
so you know what to expect and where to place things.
Yes.
And memorising things, we never do things from memory either.
No.
So the repetition, I mean, it's good fun. I'm finding
I think
it good.
I think we've done well, because we in two visits
Yeah.
we get something that really sounds sounds quite decent. I think our
really
Gamelan piece.
Yeah, it's very structured in a kind of repetitive looping scenario, the Gamelan, so it works very well with any modern music which is loop based, such as the dubstep and such as any kind of dance music and stuff. And it's wonderful to get a chance to play that, because we don't ever do that in the orchestra. And also being electrified, which is good fun.
That's been fun, yeah.
Because
Just learning.
I have a bit of it in my past, but not for a long time, so it's really nice to regain that. And,
It's been good.
been
For,
really
for
good
me, the whole thing came together when our rapper came.
Oh, yes.
And started improvising the words. I think, hey, this is really something.
Yes.
something different.
So, but of course, on top of something that's really solid and really, really interesting. I mean, just the mixing of the rhythms, I guess, with the Gamelan rhythms and the drum bass rhythm. It's been, it's really, I'm buzzing, but also my mind is spinning, but I'm also buzzing from this.
Dreams and aspirations.
I'm Guillaume Dujat, and I'm here. I study popular music at MMU, but in this for this project I work on the electronic sides, like the Gamelan dubstep sort of combination. This is a live performance, and we're patching the cello, bass and viola through all the electronics and modulating them, as well as using loops. So I used Ableton Live as a ground for this. It is very good for sort of live settings and performances, to be able to change things on the fly really quickly. And with that, I have an interface that allows me to, I split all the outs separately to send to the technician, Andy. And then so I can, a lot of all the electronics and the Chris and David, everything goes through me, and then I try to work with the Gamelan on that. I do like to work in live settings, but it's quite complicated because you've got so many players, and especially lots of the cello and the viola play some really syncopated rhythms, and so did the Gamelan. So it was quite hard getting. We tried working with clicks and with monitors, and we tried quite a lot of different techniques to get everything to work seamlessly as possible. But in the end, I think we got there.
Yeah, I think
it's working. But I think that was the main challenge, is sort of bringing, especially with the time change in the middle of the song, sort of adapting the computer to live musicians.
So we've learnt a traditional piece from Rachel. We've learned how to sing and play at the same time, and then we've really got to grips with my piece. So once we got the MC Hypes with us yesterday, everything really came together because it became a song then. But he wasn't with us last week, but that gave us a chance to get the rhythm section together and get that solid. And then when he came yesterday, we all got it, and then he was just slotting on top. And then today it's really come together. So we've just had a few run-throughs, and we're just looking forward to next week now.